Hello, everyone, and we're glad you can attend Attitude's weekly ADHD Experts webinar. We do hope that everyone is staying safe and staying well. Just some housekeeping before we get started. If you've listened to one of our webinars before, you know we offer attendees a certificate of attendance. When the webinar ends, a post-event survey will pop up. It will list 3 questions about the quality of the webinar, followed by 3 questions titled Required for Certificate. If you would like a certificate of attendance emailed to you, you should answer those 3 questions. If you don't want one, then don't bother answering the questions, obviously. Today's topic is reassessing goals and priorities after COVID-19. Let's be honest, life was challenging enough without the heavy weight of trying to get through a pandemic, with our spirit, sense of joy, and brain intact. We're all feeling a little unsettled and at the same time drained as we try to maintain some kind of balance in our life. Grocery shopping has become a full-time job unto itself, as the food supply chain is not as seamless as it once was. Our kids feel lonely without being able to hang out with friends. We worry about our jobs. And as if that weren't enough, we can't help but think about what the new normal will be like after the COVID crisis dies down. Neurotypical brains are challenged, and ADHD brains are under siege. We need new strategies to guide us toward a joyful and productive life after the pandemic. Thankfully, we have Michele Novotni here to provide some direction and guidance. Michele is an internationally recognized expert in the field of ADHD. She's the former president and CEO of the National Attention Deficit Disorder Association, known as ADDA. She's a best-selling author, psychologist, coach, and parent of a young adult with ADHD. She's also the author of Adult ADHD and What Does Everybody Else Know That I Don't? You can ask questions of Michele during her presentation, and we will try to get to as many of them as we can after she finishes. If you want to download the slides of this webinar, click the drop-down menu labeled Event Resources on the bottom left of your screen. If you do not see the Event Resources tab, you really need to refresh the page. So with all that being said, let's finally get to the webinar. Michele, thanks for being here, and we can all use your help and advice on this topic.
Okay, thank you, Wayne. And before I start, I'm going to be talking a lot of different strategies and ways to sort of take away some positives from the whole pandemic that has devastated us. So the first thing I want to do is, for all of you who have had losses, I just want to say I am so sorry for your losses, whether they're people you know, friends, family, neighbors, for job losses. I know a lot of people aren't able to work the way they were able to work before, and everyone is just thrown into these, we've never seen these kind of situations. So I do want to let you know that, again, I am so sorry for your losses, and hopefully we'll be able to come up with some ways to move forward and make something good happen out of all this. So as Wayne said, if you have questions, you can write those and we'll be answering those at the end. I am saving time at the end for your questions. And so now we'll get started. We've all been given a remarkable opportunity to take this gigantic pause. The whole world has stopped in a way that it's never stopped before. So in psychology, there's a technique called clearing the deck, where you sort of imagined, what would it be like if you didn't have a whole schedule? What would it be like if you didn't have a million things to do? What would you actually choose to put back into your life? And this pandemic has actually given us a chance to redefine our normal. What do we want to keep that we found? I know there's a lot we don't want to keep, but what positives have come out of this that we might want to add going forward? So I know New Year's is usually the traditional time where everybody comes up with, their goals and sort of resetting things. But I'd like to encourage you to use this time to also consider, what do you like that you're doing now? What systems do you have in place? What relationships, do you want to use going forward? Which ones might you want to change out? So we're going to be talking about how do you create your life going forward. And I know some of you are going to be allowed out. I'm in Florida, so they're gradually starting to release some things. Some of you aren't going to be out for a while, but we're all going to have to develop our own normal as we move forward from this. So this is, again, a very unique opportunity, and I'd like you not to waste this one. To really take a look with intention. I know sometimes with organizing a closet, people will tell you take everything out of your closet and then just invite back in whatever you want. So that's sort of the same thing we can do with our life right now. We can take everything out because it's already pretty much been removed. And then what is it we really want to put back in? Some people may have developed some ways to better manage their ADHD. I know working at home might be a godsend for some people. They might be able to get up and move around. They might be able to take frequent breaks. They may be able to stop and start or go to work later or earlier. Or maybe they're just more comfortable in your pajamas doing things. Some of you, it might be an absolute nightmare to lose that structure. So what structures really seem to help you? So I'd really like you to take a look at what's working for you and what's not working as part of building your plan for going forward. All right, so in this clearing the deck exercise, we usually take a look at what's important to us. What do we really want to put back in place? Do we want to have an activity every single night? Do we want to drop this exercise class? Did we really enjoy this person? Who's reached out to you? Who have you really enjoyed talking to? Who are you a little less excited about? What activities, when you start to look at your schedule a month or two from now, do you look at and go, oh, I don't know if I really want to do this anymore? You actually get to choose. And as a family, again, a lot of you are studying your families intensely in ways you've never studied them before. So what is working for you and your family? What's not working? Do you enjoy spending time with your partner? Unfortunately, there's more divorces going on now too. So some of you might be wondering, did I really pick the right person? And maybe it's time to go to counseling and see if we can work this out instead of just putting this off to the side. So again, in this clearing the deck opportunity that we've been giving, what do you want your future to look like? One way that might help you in conceptualizing this is called the Wheel of Life. And in the Wheel of Life, you write down different categories of your life that are important to you. And I have a list coming up. So it could be family, it could be faith, it could be physical health, it could be significant others. And you sort of color in how happy are you in this area. So for instance, if you're thrilled with your exercise routine, that would go all the way from the inside to the outside of the line and be colored in. And suppose you have finances and they might not be handling so well. So you just might have a teeny weeny little piece of that pie colored in. So the idea is to give you a quick visual. And again, many people with ADHD do really well with visuals. But it sort of gives you a snapshot of where do you see your life right now, which also gives you the opportunities to which areas do you really want to focus on. So here are some common categories that people have found to be useful. Health is a really, really, really important one, and especially with this pandemic. Is your immune system up to snuff? Are there more things you might be able to do for your immune system that you hadn't thought about before? Managing ADHD, that's really going to be important going forward because, again, some people with ADHD have not quite been doing the planning that needed, like trying to get toilet paper, for instance, we'll talk about later. Like if you don't do things in advance, sometimes it gets to be challenging. How are your finances? They might have been fine going into this, but they might need an overhaul going forward. And I know I always personally heard about the 3 months supply, keeping that for money for when you needed it. And I always thought I couldn't imagine anything that would actually require 3 months of income. The financial planners are just off. Well, it looks like they were right. It just took a pandemic to hit that. Social relationships. So many people are lonely right now, and they don't have those relationships that are important to them. Some people still were able to find ways to keep up relationships, whether it's by having Zoom happy hours or by FaceTime. I know, for instance, we play hide and seek with our grandson using FaceTime. It's a little tricky, but we're able to do it. So again, find ways to build those relationships. So I encourage you to take a look at some of these categories, see which ones are important for you, and add them into your wheel and see where you are, which might help you come up with setting some goals. For instance, suppose you wanted to have more friends. You realized as a result of this that there aren't as many people in your life as you would like. So the important things would be then, so what behaviors need to change for you to have more friends? So you have to think, and one would be, is ADHD getting in the way of you making or keeping friends? Because sometimes some of the ADHD issues can. You might also want to take a look at some webinars, podcasts on making and keeping friends. There might be a new group you might want to join. For instance, common activities are a great way to make friends who have a similar interest. So maybe if you found that you like bicycling, you might want to join a bicycle group, or you might want to do a book club, or you might want to do a cooking class. So again, if you do a common activity, you're more likely to find some people who share a similar interest. Also, many people with ADHD don't follow through sometimes. So say you meet somebody and you like them, and you might want to get to meet them longer or do something. Rather than just intending to do it, make a plan to call or text, or send them a text right then and there so that they're in your book, or come up with a date, even if it's one you might need to move, but actually follow through, because many times you have a lot of people who maybe could have been somebody important in your life, and because you didn't follow through, you might have a missed opportunity. So again, really reach out. And I think a lot of people are going to be wanting to reach out after we're allowed to be set free. So take this time to see who you want to meet. And I'd also encourage you, take a look at your phone and see who's all in your directory, and actually start calling people. This has been a great time. I know I've been going down my phone list and finding all sorts of people and calling them and reconnecting with some old friends or people I haven't connected with. One person, it was embarrassing. I thought it had only been maybe 9 months or a year. It turned out it had been 3 years since we'd been together. So right now we're virtually playing cards. There's an app called Trickster where you can actually play with different people you know. So we've reconnected, and it's been wonderful. So again, most people are home. So see if you can find ways to do play dates or happy hours or card games or book clubs. So again, it takes a little bit of creativity, but that's always been an ADHD asset. So start to reach out now, and then going forward, really carve out some time to do that. And if you're really struggling in this area, please know there's help. If you're not quite getting the help you need from podcasts, webinars, materials online, books, articles, maybe reach out to a coach or a psychologist and see if there's a couple skills or a couple things that you could work through to maybe unblock that for you so that you can have a fuller life with others. It's also important when you set goals to not just focus on the goal and attaining the goal, but to also enjoy the journey. So as you set goals for yourself, don't be a all or none kind of thing. Actually, my son Jared told me to make sure to tell you this one, because I know as a thrower in college, he was amazing. And yet so many times he was so frustrated because he didn't hit his goal. He could have been better than most people, but if he didn't hit his goal, he was miserable. So one of the lessons he's learned is that enjoy the whole journey, the process of attaining your goal, not just wait for meeting your goal. So suppose you wanted to cook one meal a week and you don't really like to cook. So say you don't get a whole meal put together, but you've started to look at recipes, you started to check out cooking shows. Be proud of that. Be proud of your accomplishment. Again, it's not just meeting your goal, it's the whole journey and the growth journey that's going to be really supportive for you becoming who you want to be. A strategy in psychology that we use a lot, especially in cognitive behavioral psychology, is called the reframe. And that's when we learn to sort of right-size a situation and see a situation differently. So, for example, many people feel that they've been stuck at home. But if you reframe it to you're tucked safely at home, you're safe at home, can you see how that evokes a different set of emotions? Because if you're stuck at home, you could be rolling your eyes, you could be bored, you could be angry, you could be upset. But if you focus on the fact that you're safe at home, that's something different, that you could be thankful and grateful that you're safe at home, and that you have a place to be safe. And that's a really important switch. So again, you might want to look at the language, because what you tell yourself really does matter. Oftentimes we might hear old scripts from the past, but they don't have near the power of what we tell ourselves. Because again, we're constantly telling ourselves different things over and over and over again. So if you wake up every morning and moan, oh, I'm stuck at home one more day, I'm going to pull my hair out. That's not a great start to the day. Whereas if you wake up and you're grateful that that you have toilet paper, or you're grateful that you have a pack of chicken, or that your kids are safe, that's a different mindset for entering a day. So really take a look at what you're telling yourself, what you're telling your kids, your family, and try to be kind to yourself with what you're saying. Because again, as awful as this situation is, many of us actually are safe. Not everybody, but many of us are safe, and that's something to be really happy for. We also need to have compassion and understand that although the pandemic is hitting all of us, the storm is the same. However, we're in different boats. I don't know how many of you saw the NFL draft, but the commissioner was like on his, I don't know, $250 billion boat or something. He's not in the same boat that most of us are in. So some people have income still coming in. Some people have a job that they're not sure is going to be there when they get back. Some people are crammed into a house with a ton of people. Some people are, just with the person that they love and care about. Some of you might be in a boat with 1 or 2 or 3 ADHD kids, or an ADHD partner that could be more stressful without some of the pauses that you're used to. So again, if someone is complaining about the situation they're in, or somebody's frustrated, just understand they might be in a different situation than you're in. So again, same storm, different boats. So there are different ways that people tend to manage stress. So some people actually are enjoying this time of pause. Some people are finding it nice to step away from all the crazy making and find some extra time, extra space to do some things that were important to them. Introverts do tend to have the edge on a pandemic. Introverts like to stay more quiet anyhow. I happen to be an extrovert, so it's killing me. So I've had to find all sorts of creative ways to connect to folks. So again, introverts might be doing a little bit better on this. And again, if you're financially okay enough, whether your income's coming in, you still have your job, it's a retirement check, some people are fine. Other people, not so much. Other people who were, didn't have much in savings, or maybe had just bought a house and, were fine 3 months ago, but all of a sudden things are rocky. Some people have stable jobs. Some people don't. Some people are in a really nice living situation. Some people, not so much. Some people are really enjoying quality time. This really does give you an opportunity to spend time with your significant others, with your kids, with whoever it is that you're trapped with. And again, I just was teasing with trapped. So again, it does give you a chance to spend some quality time. Some of you might be good at planning. Um, that helps you survive something like this much better. Again, some could be stressed, feeling trapped, wondering how you're making it. Also, there's a uptick in spouse abuse and child abuse. So again, stress is definitely taking a toll. So whether you're doing well, with your ADHD under control, finding lots to do, moving from project to project, connecting with other folks, or you might be shut down. A lot of people just don't have the mental energy or focus to do something. You might find yourself staring at a TV for longer and longer, watching a show. And please, please, please turn off the news. Just like look at the internet and get the highlights, and don't watch those news shows. The shows are terrible for sucking you in, and just get the facts, just get the nuggets and go on. If you want to watch something, watch a Hallmark or watch a cartoon channel. Try to see things that build you up. So again, some of you may be, not even getting dressed in the morning. Some of you might not have energy. Everything feels big and overwhelming. And all of those are actually normal reactions to dealing with stress. And a global pandemic where you're quarantined in your house for extended periods of time counts as a stress like we've never seen before. So whatever you're doing, don't be looking at others. And again, people on Facebook tend to always post the positives. They might post themselves smiling all happy, and yet, they might have piles of dirty dishes and dirty clothes in a house that's a mess, but they only show you the one little snapshot. So be kind, don't judge yourself. All of those are reasonable reactions to what we're going through. So what kind of changes would you like to make going forward? You might have had the opportunity to use your medication differently during this time. Maybe you started taking something later or earlier, or dividing it up more, or stopping it and only using it at different times. Again, physicians are available for teleconferences. It's a great time to connect with your doc and see if maybe your meds could do some tweaking. Or if you have kids on meds, maybe their meds can do some tweaking. Also, maybe you might want to get automatic delivery of the meds that you can get that way, so that you don't have the stress of worrying about if you're going to get it or not. Set it up to get 90 days in advance. And again, that doesn't work for many of the ADHD meds, but for other meds it works. What tools can you use to better manage? Do you need to maybe have some counseling sessions? Could that help? Are there some issues that are coming up as you've been home? Coaching, coaches are great at coming up with helping you develop strategies, structures, and supports. There's a lot of online support groups right now. So again, there's a lot of places to connect. There's a lot of different resources. So as you sort of think about what you'd like to do going forward, check out all the different things that are available right now. Again, many coaches have a lot of programs online at no charge. Museums have things online for no charge. Exercise people have things online. So again, check out and see what resources are there that might be able to help you. Now, I know with planning, that can sometimes be a nightmare. I know in our neighborhood, actually, it's been quite the stress to get things like toilet paper, hand sanitizers, paper towels. Even groceries sometimes can be quite the challenge. So some of the strategies that have helped for managing, and again, I've been using these, and I haven't been out of the house in about 7 weeks. And I've been doing okay. So we've done like the groceries online. That's worked really well. But what you might be finding is that grocery stores don't have dates until in the future. So I usually make 2 or 3 different dates for different grocery stores, because again, you can take items off a list, or you can add items up to 1 day ahead of time. So if you have 2 or 3 dates set up, you can be tweaking your list. And now I'll give you like my top secret. Walmart.com actually can send you toilet paper, hand sanitizers, and paper towels. Not Walmart grocery shopping, but Walmart.com. So again, you have to keep checking. I almost feel like I get a fast pass at Disney when I hit it. But they do get orders in periodically, and you can get it sent to your house. So again, there's all sorts of creative ways that maybe we haven't used before. I know personally I'm probably never going to go to the grocery store again if I can avoid it, because the online shopping has been great. They save your list for you. They ask you if you want this again. Saves a ton of time. So again, um, this really does require planning ahead. So, you might only be able to get one package of meat, but that's from one store. But if you have two dates, then you get to get a second pack of meat from another store. So again, set up multiple dates. Um, and also some of the stores let you run in early, so you can sort of see what you need to get. Moving forward, it's going to be really important to have the masks, the wipes, and the sprays. I've seen a lot of things that talk about how important it is if everybody wears a mask. The incidence of spread is significantly reduced. So where do you want to get masks from? Maybe somebody's making them. If you're at home, maybe you want to make masks. Again, the wipes and the sprays, start thinking now, because this is going to be something you're going to need in your arsenal for a pretty long time going forward, probably several months at least. So again, start now to be prepared to have some of those items that are going to be so important for us. And then use this time going forward to what else do you need to have in place for these ADHD challenges? Did you find that maybe meal planning helped, especially when groceries were a little hard to come from? Do you want to do meal planning each week? I know some people have been loving the boxes that bring you the meals. You check it off and they deliver the boxes to your house with everything you need in the box. Some people have really been enjoying that because they don't have to think about what they want. They don't have to prepare anything, to get things. They just get to put together the meals. Some people are enjoying farmers markets. A lot of the farmers markets have gotten quite creative. The farmers are actually bringing food to you. So again, think outside the box. But look, going forward, would it help you if you had 2 or 3 meal kits delivered? Would it help you if you had somebody dropping off fresh produce? Would it help you if you had checklists for shopping? Would it help you if there was automated delivery? So again, things that are helping you now may definitely be able to help you in the future too. So again, keep track of what's working, track what's not working, and see if you might be able to come up with some systems. So we talked about the dates, that being the creative for the supplies. Another tip is maybe ask your stores when they get their deliveries. Actually, they generally tend to tell you. So again, if your local Publix gets their delivery on Tuesday morning, you might want to shop Tuesday morning. If they get it Thursday night, you might want to shop Thursday night. So again, put a little extra time in and it can avoid tons of stress and drama. Again, we talked about the farmers. Please help the farmers out. They have all sorts of stuff that they're trying now to get to you. Again, a lot of them will pop open, you pop open your trunk and they'll put it in, or a lot of them are bringing them right to your door. So again, there's takeout from a lot of places you'd never would think there was. So maybe you can get some food from places, and again, make it a little easier for yourself. There's also services that deliver: Uber Eats, DoorDash, Instacart. Again, all my new best friends. And again, I think going forward, there are going to be a lot of these that I'm keeping in place because they really do make my life easier. The resilience mindset, basically, the most important takeaway is going to be to be kind to yourself and others, be grateful, find humor, and seek functional connections. Who is additive to your life? So again, I know you might be struggling, but can you still help someone? Can you reach out to someone maybe who you know who's lonely? I know in our neighborhood, I have a number of elderly neighbors, and so I've been helping them with online ordering. I haven't been out of the house, but I've still been able to help them. My mom's in a independent living facility, and they're not allowed visitors. So, I talk to her every day, and check and see how she's doing. We've actually started singing songs to each other every day. I don't know that we're going to keep that going forward, but it's working for now. Self-care. What did you used to do where you felt like you pampered yourself? And maybe is there a way to do that now? Take some time out to take care of you. And again, this is a stressful situation. I know we used to give stress tests. A pandemic's not even on the stress test. It's so high for the numbers. So cut yourself some slack, whether you're doing things, not doing things. And you may find even if you're doing a lot of projects, you still might have days where you just don't feel like it. And that's okay. We're going to get through this. And it's okay not to do it perfect Facebook-like. And then if your ADHD used to be under control when you had a structure and work and schedules, maybe you might want to put some of that back in place when you're at home. Relationships often tend to suffer with unmanaged ADHD. So it's not just for doing tasks. Now this one's going to sound really crazy. I've never made my bed person in my entire life unless I was like changing the sheets. I always saw it as a huge waste of time. And I was reading an article about a guy who said, if you really want to accomplish things and feel good about yourself, start the day off with making your bed. And I just thought, oh, that's such baloney. How can making your bed do anything? But what he said is that it's a quick task to do. And then every time you see your bed, you just sort of like nod and smile. So, and it's like, okay, I've accomplished one thing today. So you're sort of like priming a pump. So since I've been home with the pandemic, I actually did start making my bed. And surprisingly, I'm surprised how much better I feel looking at a made bed. I didn't think it would be true. I may even keep that up once the pandemic restraints are lifted. But yeah, it is sort of something that if you make your bed and you see a made bed, it's sort of like, I got this. I've started out the day okay. Again, it's a little thing, takes a few minutes. It might just give you that foot up to get the day started. Okay, next. Be grateful. A grateful heart gets through this so much better. There still are so many things that we can be grateful for. There's a lot that we don't have, but there's a lot that we do have. You might not be able to get a chicken breast, but you might be able to get chicken legs. This one's funny. I ordered a turkey breast from my online shopper, and they substituted it. So the turkey breast was supposed to be 3 to 4 pounds. I actually got a 36-pound frozen turkey. So it didn't even fit in my turkey pan that I use for Thanksgiving. It was so humongous. But anyhow, I found ways to cook it, and then I invited a bunch of people to come to my driveway and get little care packages of some turkey. I did have to cut it up some to finish cooking it. It was so huge. But again, instead of being miserable, that they didn't give me my turkey breast I wanted, I was really grateful. I got a humongous turkey and lots of packages of frozen turkey to eat going forward. So try starting and ending each day with a reflection on a couple things that you're grateful for. And it really can, again, sort of like making your bed, set the stage. If you have kids, have them say what they're grateful for. A partner, have them say what they're grateful for. Actually, chicken and toilet paper have made my list of things I'm grateful for some days. Try to figure out ways to be generous even in scarcity. Again, all of us are trying to get by, but how can you still reach out and help others? A couple things I've received, it's funny, again, I have not physically been out of my house because I have some autoimmune issues. I've had people drop me off a 6-pack of specialty beer. I did have somebody bring me toilet paper, big packages of toilet paper. Another person had made me a handmade mask. I've had pea soup. Somebody got me some fresh salmon. So again, different days I'll have different people telling me they're going to drop me off something, outside my door, and it really does brighten my day. And also, again, I've been restricted, but I've been calling people and they seem to be pretty cheered that I'm calling them. Also on Facebook, I've been trying to post one humorous image every day. So every day I find something that tickles me. And again, I try not to have it be sarcastic or mean-spirited or political, heaven forbid. But again, a lot of people said they've been enjoying that. Again, I have given out turkey legs and packages of food. We grow herbs, and so I've been able to collect some fresh herbs and put those outside for people to come and get. We've given people bottles of wine. I've been helping people shop. So again, I can't go out, but I still have found a lot of things I'm able to do right from here. And that's what sort of makes this work. Again, humor. Uh, Mindset does matter. It's part of resilience. Think of things that make you smile. Um, Try to make people laugh. Again, some of these incidences might be stories that you'll be telling your kids, hey, remember when we did this? So again, don't forget to try to find the humor. In faith, what role has faith played? Some people are finding a resurgence going back to faith, part of prayer groups, Bible studies, listening to hymns, praying more. Some people are questioning, where's God in all this? Are there changes that you want to make? Do you feel like you need more faith? Do you feel like maybe you could or should be doing something different? So again, a lot of people are examining faith and the role that faith plays in their life. And again, there's tons of all sorts of resources available now. People are making available to help you with that as well. So some of my takeaways when I sort of look at what part of this do I want to, how am I going to be changed going forward? I tend to overfill my life. I really have liked having a pause, and it's helping me to weed out some of the activities that were there, but maybe weren't as meaningful to me as they needed to be to have space. This is a small one, but I have actually enjoyed making my own salad dressing. Doesn't take too long, lasts for about a week, and it's been fun. So I think I'm always going to make my own salad dressing now. I will have enough staples on hand so that we won't have any desperate situations going forward. Not hoarding in piles, but enough so that, say, there's a hurricane or something else, that there doesn't have to be a panic. I think I'm going to be an online shopping fan for groceries probably forever. I'm going to try to keep making my bed. I'm sort of liking that one. Also, inside shoes. I've always thought about not wearing shoes in the house because of all the germs and bacteria and dirt. So since we've been going through this, we've actually switched. And my husband and I have shoes that if we step outside, we wear outside shoes. And then we have a pair of inside shoes that never go out. And our house has been really clean and it's pretty germ-free, I think. So I think I'm going to always keep inside shoes. I'm also going to really be thankful that the time I do have in person with special folks, um, you know, enjoying those people when I really can see them freely. I am enjoying some of the new to me technology. Zoom, I've had some fun get-togethers with friends on Zoom. Trickster, I'm loving playing card games with my friends. In fact, even though we have monthly card groups, we may do Trickster because then nobody has to clean their house and make snacks and travel. I don't know, it's been fun. Again, there's Facebook video. I've never used that before. So again, there are some new things that have helped me to connect to people. I'm probably going to spend more time on health and wellness and realize how important that is, because if we don't have our health, everything else falls away. And I'm loving getting the fruits and veggies from the locals farmers market, and I'm feeling like I'm doing something good for them and good for me. So I'm probably going to be keeping that one. So again, I'm not sure what some of your takeaways are, but those are just a couple of mine. And these are positives. So I guess part of it is, what have you discovered that you want to take away as you go forward? What makes your life better for you and your family? As these orders start to lift, what do you want to keep? Because this, again, has only ever been a fantasy stress management exercise, but we've actually lived it. We've had a giant pause. We've got the opportunity to clear our deck. So what do you want to do with this going forward? It's going to be really important to follow the guidelines and follow instructions. Now, some people may have ADHD with some impulsivity, and it may be a little hard to keep in check, but please follow the guidelines. They're well thought out and they're for our own good. And again, the fact that with this virus, you might not even know you have it, and yet you might be the reason that somebody dies. So again, we're talking about it could be really bad. Might not be that bad, but you don't know. So again, do what you need to do to hold your ADHD impulsivity in check. Be prepared. keep things with you like masks, and don't touch the front of the masks. That's where all the germs are. So again, only grab the masks from the sides. And again, be patient. This is going to be a marathon. It's not going to be over in a blink of an eye. So again, set up some things to help keep you on track for the long term, however this long term tends to be. And I think that is it, and we should have some questions. Wayne, are you there?
I'm here. Sorry.
Okay.
I muted myself and I was slow to unmute myself. Very sorry.
That's okay.
A couple of people are asking, is this pandemic experience a grieving process? And how does the ADHD brain handle that and process it?
It is similar to grieving. If you think about the stages like Kubler-Ross has with death and dying, there's denial and there's anger and there's, all sorts of different emotions as we sort of go through this process. With ADHD, there's not always the emotional regulation. So some of the people with ADHD might find themselves fluctuating a little bit more. So I guess the advice would be to try not to be as reactive. Many people with ADHD can tend to be quite reactive to things. So maybe it's not as awful as 100. It might be like as awful as a 70. So sort of put a girdle on some of the range of those emotions.
Mm-hmm. One woman is asking, how do you take time for yourself, have alone time, basically, without feeling guilty when you're staying at home with your entire family? Some people just need some time alone.
Okay. Actually, I think everybody should have some time alone. So it might be a family discussion. And again, if some people are extroverts, they might not need any time alone at all. And some people in your family might be introverts, so they might not understand. So maybe if you word things like, it's important for me to have some time to just sort of decompress and shut down. And you might even want to cheat and say, I need a nap. And get your alone time in a nap. Some people have been known to sneak away in a bathroom. I've had some people go outside to get some of their alone time. You can be pretending to read a book to get some alone time. But I think an honest discussion with the people you're living with might be pretty helpful. And this is important to me. I know I'm married to an introvert. And so, my husband needs time to recharge by himself. And I'm always like, hey, how about? And I realize that he'll just sort of look at me and he'll like put his hand up. And I go, okay, I'll back off. So again, it's just important to realize that there are differences because extroverts tend to think everybody's an extrovert and introverts, just sort of shudder. But again, just ask for what you need and maybe say, can you please help me? When would be a good time for me to get some alone time? And where would it work? And again, I have a lot of people, if the weather's not bad, going outside to get alone time. And again, the bathroom is always good. Most people don't yell at you if you go to the bathroom. But I think start by asking what you need, and please don't feel guilty about it at all. I think we all need some time to decompress after this. This is a trauma. This is definitely a trauma.
Right. Agreed. Several people they see it as a pause and they love the pause. But then the other side of it is they can't make themselves get up and do anything, like organizing my crazy house, this one woman says. I just don't seem to have the energy to accomplish any of my goals. So I guess, should we even be thinking about accomplishing goals?
It's always great to think about accomplishing goals, but maybe you need teeny weeny goals, like make a bed. And instead of organizing a disorganized house, maybe start with a drawer and not the messiest drawer. Start with something that's not too bad and just do one thing. Again, there is a level of depression for a number of people. I'd say probably half the country has some level of depression right now. And that's normal. But again, if you are dealing with people who are clinically depressed, you start with something easy. So again, let go of the big goals. You don't need big goals. It might be as simple as today I'm gonna make a salad, or today I'm gonna put my order in Walmart.com and get some food. So again, start with teeny weeny goals that you are able to accomplish. And cut yourself some slack. So if you don't feel like doing goals, then instead of just laying around, what do you do for self-care? How do you take care of yourself? So maybe you might take a bubble bath. Maybe you might give yourself a facial. Um, I don't know. So find something that you really enjoy. So instead of just wasting the time feeling like a bump that's not doing anything, do something that really makes you feel good and use that time. And again, this is definitely the time for people to be cutting each other slacks. I know I tend to be like a knocking things out kind of person, and I had a whole list of what all I'd have done. And I'm fearful that the pandemic's going to be over and my taxes still aren't going to be done yet. And,
Yeah.
so again, cut yourself some slack.
One woman is asking, does using a journal when you have ADHD during this pandemic, does it help? Or does it create more stress seeing all your thoughts written down? What are some ways to de-stress, I guess, is she asking?
Well, it's funny with journaling, for some people, it can be a huge positive. It's a way to sort of write things down. And journals don't have to just be words. A lot of people with ADHD are visual. So it might be drawings, it might be sketches. It could be clip art, different pictures from things that you found. So again, capturing your feelings is definitely a really good thing to be doing right now. We shouldn't be bottling up all our feelings. But again, maybe change some of the journal to a gratitude journal. Write some things down that you're happy for. Also, it's fun too to do maybe notes to your kids or your spouse, things that you really appreciate about them, funny stories you have about them. So again, you might want to switch some of your journaling, not just being, this is awful, this is terrible. Not that it's not awful and terrible, but it's not 100% awful and terrible. So again, if the journal is making you more depressed, then I wouldn't do it, or I would change the focus of it. If the journal's helping you to get these feelings out and feel better, then I would do it. So again, it's more individual. Everybody's sort of blazing their own path. But if it's working for you in a positive direction, then it sounds like it's something that you ought to do.
Mm-hmm. And I know before we started this, you were hoping that people would, share some of their own strategies for getting through this. And this one woman, I just want to read this to everyone. Her reaching out suggestion is, I started a virtual quote unquote everything club with some friends. It's like a book club, but everyone brings something new that they did to recommend or talk about. It could be a book, an article, a recipe, app, song, whatever. So I thought that was sort of neat to share.
Yeah, that's a great idea. See, I know there's a bunch of ideas out there.
Do you have a lot of people asking about meal planning? And they're saying, what are your strategies for meal planning during this difficult time?
Okay, so I have actually, and again, I'm not usually a meal planner per se, but I did find this cute little graph paper that has all the days of the week on it. But what I found was that I really can't do a lot of planning until I have my food because I almost feel like I'm on an episode of Chopped. Where you get this box and then you get to see what you can make out of this box, because you never know what's in there, or what they've substituted. That gets to be interesting sometimes too. But what I do find is that it really has been helpful to plan a meal, and I've been double and triple cooking. So like, for instance, I made a big pot of chili, and so I was able to have it one night as chili. Another night we had it as chili over salad. And then I froze 3 packages of it for later. And then we stuck it over like a sweet potato, and I gave some away. So I'm finding that if you find things that freeze well, those are tremendously helpful for meal planning. So I guess the recommendation would be find something that you could make a decent amount of and break it up into pieces so that you can have it more than once. But I've also found that using more fruits and vegetables, taking time to have more salads and things has been fun. For me, I like to usually try like one new recipe a day. I know a lot of people are baking and baking bread. Yeast is getting to be a really tough commodity to come by for some people.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, I would encourage you to try something really fun. That maybe you haven't done before. I know my daughter-in-law has been cooking with my grandson every Sunday. So they've been making muffins and making pretzels and, involve the family with things. But meal planning actually in the pandemic has been more important than I think sort of winging it. Also, a lot of more ready-made foods. Like I know there's like a lot of packages of whole grains that are already cooked. You just heat up. So again, if cooking empowers you and makes you feel good, go for it. And if it's a drain, there's a lot of shortcuts, and maybe look for some of the shortcuts. But the biggest takeaway is don't plan too much until you see what you actually get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Get your food first and then figure it out. Several people have brought up, why am I so tired and lazy and lethargic? I mean, I just wondered if you could perhaps describe what might be draining us.
All right, so here we're back to the reframe. I mean, Wayne, repeat those negative words again. What all were they? Lazy,
lethargic, uninterested.
Okay, so again, look at the language of what you're telling yourself. You might not be as accomplished as if you had been before. Again, being shut down is part of a coping strategy for dealing with a major global pandemic. Again, I can't stress this enough. If you look at stress inventories, they have things like death of a spouse. They have change of a job. Pandemic is right up there with death of a spouse. You've lost your life as you knew it. This is a death. It's a death of what we've known, and it's not going to be over fast. So all those are normal reactions. So first I would change the language, and it might be, what am I able to do now? And be prepared for the roller coaster of emotions. Some days are going to be good days. Some days are going to be not as great. But again, always be kind to yourself and say, well, at least I changed from my nighttime pajamas to my daytime pajamas.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a small goal. It could be I got a shower today. So again, cut yourself slack. It's normal to be inactive, but if you can find ways to start exercising, maybe put on a walk away the pounds and do the first 3 minutes of it. Or find a yoga tape online. Again, there's so much online right now, and you don't have to do the whole hour. Just do 5 minutes. And see how that goes.
Right.
So again, start with teeny weeny goals and be kind to yourself. And please watch what you tell yourself.
Yeah, that's a tough one, but we should be mindful of it.
Wayne, a quick story. Can I just real quick? When I used to run a group, we were talking about self-talk and negative self-talk, and it usually takes about 7 positives to neutralize 1 negative comment. So my challenge for my group was to say 3 positive things if they said 1 negative thing about themselves. So that was their goal, was just to try to do 3 positives. So I always start off my coaching things with, so what's been going well? And so this one guy raised his hand, and I said, all right, so what's going well? He said, well, Doc, I couldn't do the 3 things. It's like, okay, so how was that going well? And he said, well, I realized I couldn't do the 3 things. He said, so I just stopped talking to myself. And I said, well, so then how was your week? He said, actually, it was a lot better. So again, what we tell ourselves really does matter.
Right.
All right. Okay, back to your questions.
One man, unfortunately, is spending all his time alone is making him realize that perhaps he and his spouse aren't cut out for each other. So he's asking, is it foolish or prudent now? I guess he's thinking about perhaps separating after this is all over. Is it foolish or prudent to tackle life-changing issues during quarantine and the pandemic?
Okay, I would advise nobody to do anything urgent unless it involves abuse. So if there's spousal abuse, child abuse, please make changes absolutely now. Um, if it's you're realizing, and again, a lot of people have sort of grown into parallel lives and they don't spend that much time with each other. And this heightened sense of being together has really put a strain on a lot of relationships. Um, so again, some people are, pretty happy to be spending all this quality time. Other people are realizing, we really have drifted so far apart. I wouldn't recommend a separation as much as once this is over, maybe going for counseling and seeing, are there things that can be repaired? Are there things that, this highlights? And again, this is an abnormal situation, but maybe you don't have as many common activities. And what did you used to like to do together? And is there a way to put some of that back now? So again, I wouldn't recommend making a life change right this second, but definitely start. And you can do counseling right now. A lot of the therapists have been allowed to do telecounseling now. So you can go right online now, find somebody. Insurances are accepting telehealth, and you can find a couples counselor. So you're both there, you have time. Medicare pays for it. A lot of the insurances are paying for it. Go get counseling now. You might be able to make some changes that'll change your life in a positive direction forever.
Right. And potentially they could do it together. You could do couples therapy, right? They're both home,
Right.
most likely. So
Absolutely. Telehealth is huge right now. You can see your medical doctors, you could see counselors, you can see coaches. Awesome time.
I guess maybe this, I don't know if this will be the last question, depending on how you answer it, but a lot of, the ADHD brain and ruminating about things, people just cannot stop themselves from ruminating about the future. Where are we going to go from here? When will this end? Will it ever end? These are some of the questions they're asking. But we all know that rumination is a strong characteristic of an ADHD diagnosis. So is there any way to sort of short circuit that?
Not short circuit it as much as shorten it. So one of the recommendations might be to write down those questions, like when will it end? And then you can write down, what do the experts say is their best guess? And then is there any other information I need to get to clarify that more? Like I know in Florida, our biggest question is, when is Disney World going to open? And so, but you can ruminate about that all you want, and it's not going to change the fact that we won't get any more information until the governor comes up with the next set of plans. But so again, write down your question, write down what you know, and then write down what the next piece of information will be that'll help you. But again, so once you answer the questions and you have them written down, you can then just look at your notebook, you can look at your index card, and that works for people who have obsessive compulsive thought disorders as well. I used to have people who would check things constantly, and as long as they wrote it down, and they had it, they could look at their card, and that was enough. So write it down, see if you need to get more information. And if not, wait until the next piece comes. Mm-hmm. And please turn off the news, turn off the news, turn off the news. That's terrible for people.
Agreed. This will be the last one, perhaps. How a lot of adults are saying, how do I prevent household distractions from keeping me from self-care? Several people have said they haven't taken a shower for a couple of days, haven't washed their hair. This particular mom says, I have an 8-year-old and a 3.5-year-old twins, with high energy, and the attention is always on them. I do notice that, since this has gone on and I feel a little more tired, I can relate to this. So any thoughts?
So the important part would be, I'm hearing that taking a shower is important. So it might be when they get, before, when they're all tucked in and finally sleeping, run in the shower. So I'm not sure what you're doing when they are sleeping, and hopefully they'll sleep at similar times, maybe get up a little bit earlier or take a shower at night. I don't know if somebody else is in the home that could help. But also, again, if you're creative with things like Zoom, I know the one group was 8 years old. What was the other age?
3.5. twins, 3.5-year-old twins. So 3 kids.
That's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the 8-year-old, you could have somebody talk to them on some kind of video thing. 3.5 is tough.
Right.
So in that case, just love your kids, hug them, and if you smell a bit, it's okay. Because kids are going to remember being loved and held and cuddled and, how we are with them. It's not going to matter if they really got all their homework assignments done right. It's not going to matter if you had dirty hair. So the things that are going to matter are, are you yelling at them or are you hugging them?
Exactly.
Are you telling them things are going to be okay, or are you just running around frantic? So, and again, my one son's a teacher and he's teaching classes, and it doesn't matter if they get their homework done. It's good if they do, but if it's going to be at the expense of relationships, in the big scheme of things, a shower here and there is not going to matter. Maybe
Right.
do a swig of perfume, but try to hop in and do that when you get a moment.
Right. Well, that's great advice. I think the hour is up. Thanks so much, Michele, for being here. I know you helped me out, and I'm sure you helped a lot of the people who attended. So thanks for the great advice.
All right. Wish everybody well going through this.
Okay. And thanks for everyone, for all the attendees, for being here and listening in. Please join us next Thursday, May 7th, when Carol Kranowitz and Lindsay Beal will talk about sensory smart strategies for children with SPD and ADHD. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day.